I'd like to thank him for this amendment, and we're working right now to see if we can get the amendment pending and possibly a voice vote, because it's clearly this is very important. Clearly, it's a very important amendment, and one that I think we need to express very strongly the sense of the Senate, given the situation as it exists in Iran. And so I want to thank Senator Lieberman. And right now, my understanding is that your side is checking to see if it's an agreeable amendment. So hopefully we will get that decision and move forward with it right away on a voice vote, if that's agreeable to the senator from Connecticut.
Mr. President, I thank
Connecticut.
I thank my friend from Arizona. I'm encouraged by that, and talking to the other co-sponsors, I think we'd be happy to have a voice vote on this. It would send the message.
Mr. President.
Senator from Arizona.
The amendment is straightforward. It expresses the sense of the Senate that there should be a date certain and soon by which Iran is required to show progress in ending its nuclear program or face severe sanctions. The amendment expresses that if the Iranian regime has not accepted the U.S. offer of direct diplomatic talks by the time of the G20 summit in late September, or if it has not suspended all its nuclear enrichment and reprocessing activities within 60 days after the summit, and if the UN Security Council does not adopt new significant and meaningful sanctions on the regime, the President should sanction the Central Bank of Iran. The situation with respect to Iran is nearing the crisis point, if it is not there already. We've all watched the brutal crackdown on the streets of Tehran and elsewhere as the Iranian regime imposed the results of a fraudulent election. We've been astonished by the courage and resolve of those Iranian citizens who have protested for their own inalienable rights in the face of repression. And we've known that while these dramatic events have played themselves out, the Iranian regime has continued its enrichment of uranium, growing ever closer to the day on which it has a nuclear weapons capability. The Iranian regime has gotten away with that too much for too long. Its illicit nuclear activities, combined with its development of unconventional weapons and ballistic missiles, support for Hezbollah and other terrorist groups, and its repeated threats against Israel and the United States, represents a real and growing threat to the security of the United States in the Middle East. It is in the interest of the United States and the world's other great powers to achieve an end to the Iranian nuclear program. The administration has held out a, quote, open hand, making clear that it intends to open direct talks with Iran. Yet 3.5 months since the President's formal offer, the Iranian government has made no response, nor has it suspended its enrichment activities as required by the UN Security Council resolutions. Time is not on the side of those pushing the Iranians to cease these dangerous actions. Administration officials and others, including the French president, have stated that they will not wait interminably while the Iranian nuclear program proceeds. At the G8 summit 2 weeks ago, the assembled leaders agreed that the Iranians do not have forever and they should return to the negotiating table by the time of the G20 summit in September. This amendment puts the Senate on record behind that time frame, irrespective of any senator's individual view about the likelihood of agreement soon. Make no mistake, we must not wait interminably. According to the IAEA's latest report, Iran has increased its stockpile of low-enriched uranium by some 60% in the previous 6 months and has brought the number of active centrifuges above 7,000. The IAEA also reported that Iran denied inspectors access to the Arak heavy water reactor as the threats, including to the State of Israel, continue. As the Secretary of State has recently articulated, should Iran continue to defy the international community, it must face severe sanctions. Should the regime not take up the historic offer extended to it, this resolution advocates sanctions on the Iranian Central Bank, the country's major connection to the international financial system. The U.S. Treasury Department has stated that the central bank has engaged in deceptive, fraudulent financial practices and facilitated the movement of funds to those involved in proliferation and terrorist activities. This must end, and in fact, 67 senators have co-sponsored legislation, the Iran Refined Petroleum Sanctions Act, that urges the President to sanction the central bank. By adopting this resolution, we will send an unmistakable message to the government of Iran that its actions are unacceptable and will result in real and severe consequences if continued. The administration is offered to talk. The ball is in the Iranian court, and if that regime continues down its destructive path, we have no choice but to impose crippling sanctions for its continued defiance. I urge my colleagues to support this amendment, and let me point out again, this amendment is a sense of the Senate amendment, an important sense of the Senate, but certainly I think allows the administration the latitude it needs to in its handling its relations with Iran. Mr. President,
They said it's okay to call it up. We got a problem. We got someone called in.
I yield the floor.